everybody wants to be at the top of the roller coaster, right? Everybody wants to be up there because that's the freaking boss ass best life spot and everybody wants it. And the middle is just kind of like you're coasting and the bottom sucks. Nobody wants to be in the lows of the roller coaster because it's a bummer. Mm-hmm. But you literally cannot just go from middle to top. That's not how momentum works. You have to go into the lows if you're ever going to get to the top.
Welcome to the Life Coach Baker podcast, the place to be to gain a rock-solid mindset, create powerful habits, and leap into the life of your dreams. I'm your host, life and mindset coach, entrepreneur, and goal-smashing extraordinaire, Nicole Baker. I am here to bring you actionable and applicable tools that you can use in your own life to launch yourself forward, to gain that clarity, and to ignite your motivational fire in order to achieve anything your heart desires. If you have a dream that feels crazy ambitious, if you are an aspiring achiever, or if you know that you are ready to leap into a life that you absolutely love, then you are in the right place. I'm so happy to have you here, and let's dive in. Hello, friends. This episode is really special to me for two major reasons. And the first one is that we all need a little light and a little bit of infectious, beautiful energy right now. And I am so happy that I got to interview Sara Falaro and bring her on to talk to you guys today because her energy is just luminescent. And she's so wise, she's so positive, and she's so supportive, and I'm so excited for you guys to get to hear from her today. There's a second reason though. And unless you've been living under a rock, you know that the world is going through some shit right now. And I hope if you're listening to this that you are doing something to actively partake, whether that is donating if you're able to. There's plenty of resources on Instagram or a quick Google search. I literally spent 15 minutes on Google, researched 10 or so charities, and found a few that I was like, I align with that one. I want to make sure that they are being supported, even if it's just a little bit. There's reading you can do. There's people you can reach out to. There's people you can listen to. Ooh, that's important. You can listen to. But I hope that you're doing something in this fight and not staying silent. And I'm going to be vulnerable with you all for a second. I was terrified to speak out at first. Terrified. What if I say the wrong thing? What if, whatever. But that doesn't fucking matter anymore. It doesn't matter to begin with. If you are someone who still has a lot to learn, and I'm going to so raise my hand here. I am someone who still has a lot to learn, and that's okay. But I better take some messy action rather than no action at all. So I hope that you are someone who is doing so. Like I said, spend 5 minutes on Instagram. Learn about charities you can donate to for the Black Lives Matter movement. Learn about a book that you can read to your kid if you're a mom who's struggling to add diversity into the household. Reach out to your family and see what they're doing. Speak up. Now is the time, even if it's messy, even if it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. Speak up in some way and make sure your voice is a part of this fight. So, however, there is one big thing that I want to talk to specifically surrounding mindset today. Now, like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm not going to always say the right thing, but what I do know is that someone who is, I'm going to speak directly to the empaths for a second, someone who is feeling a lot of things, and those feelings might be debilitating right now to the point where you feel like you can't take any action. You're so afraid, you're so scared, you're feeling everything. Those are the people I want to speak to at the end of this episode. I want you guys to hear Sara talk for a while because like I said, her energy is just beautiful and it feels so good. But the empaths I want to speak to at the very end, because if you're feeling so much, if you're feeling so debilitated, you can't take action here. It's impossible. And I'm speaking as one who had several moments of that during this weekend. Several stretches, more like it. But I want to speak to you guys directly from a mindset perspective. How can you get your mindset back into the present? How can you get your mindset back on track so that you feel like you can take action in this fight? So I'm going to speak to that at the very end. We're going to do an exercise. I'm also going to give you guys some tools and quick little things that you can do right here and now so that you can quiet down that anxiety, so that you can turn up the action, the movement. And let me be frank, anxiety is going to happen during this time. There's a lot going on. Anger is going to happen during this time. I'm fucking angry. However, action is the most important thing here. But we're in the middle of a pandemic. There is still stuff you can do sitting on your couch at home. There's still stuff you can do so much in just 10 minutes a day. So, empaths and light workers and high sensitive feelers of the world, I'm going to speak to you guys at the very end of this episode. But I want you guys to hear Sara first, because this unbelievable woman, I had the honor of meeting her on this call. Literally, this was the first time her and I ever met, and I feel like I feel like she's someone who is just such a kindred spirit. She's so great. But she is an actor, she's a singer, and she is also an entrepreneur living in New York City, and she has built a beautiful business filled with so much love and support, and very successful in a very short amount of time. And she accredits a lot of that to mindset and high action taking. So I want you guys to hear from her, because talk about something we need right now is just a beautiful light speaking directly into our soul. So without further ado, let me introduce to you guys Sara Falaro.
Welcome, Sara. I feel like I know you already, but for everyone who's listening who doesn't know you, which, guys, follow her. She's amazing. Go ahead and let people know who you are, what you do, why you're so amazing. They'll be able to tell immediately.
Okay, thank you. What a warm intro. Thank you. Okay, yes. So I'm Sara Falaro, and I am an actor, singer, entrepreneur based out of New York City. And my entrepreneurial side is a branding and business coach for creatives. So I teach artists how to, one, develop their personal digital brand so that they can be in control of their own narrative, feel empowered, and expand their network on their own terms. And two, develop their own freelance business so that they can be in control of their lifestyle and live their dream life right now.
I just got chills, and it's like the first 2 minutes of this conversation.
It's gonna get good.
I love it. Oh my God. Well, like, that is so important right now, and I'm sure you agree. Like, so much, especially in the creative artist space, your social media is your new resume.
Totally. Oh my gosh,
like,
yeah.
Using that to your advantage, because I know, at least when I was an actor, I was so annoyed by it that I was just like, no, like, don't, like,
yeah.
don't go there. And like, using that instead to people's strengths and letting that really, like, I've seen some of your clients and they're killing it. Oh my God. It's so cool.
Yeah. I like to think about it, like, because I totally agree. I think that there's two dirty narratives here, right? So, like, social media, people associate with, like, social media influencers, but in a bad way. And, like, they also associate your social media for artists as, like, an extension of your type, which is, like, another dirty word. And so I think that the way that I want to reframe the narrative, essentially, because, one, I think that social media is this insanely powerful tool in the backpack of everybody we know. And, like, if you're not using that tool, you're leaving a lot of money and opportunity on the table.
Yep.
But then the other thing is that, so your type, I like to think about, is like what other people tell you that you are. It's what they say, this is the box you fit into, but your brand is the box you tell other people that you fit into. So you're saying, no, this is who I am. And I think that's so freaking cool.
I'm speechless. That was such a mic drop. Okay, just so people can really let that sink in, can you say that again? Because that's brilliant.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, so your type is what other people tell you you are, and your brand is what you tell other people you are. So it's your way to say, no, this is who I am.
Oh, it's so good. I literally, like, when I was working specifically just with artists,
Yeah.
A lot of them felt so trapped in their type.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where you went to school or what
Yeah.
your background is with it, but at my school specifically, it was very much you're an ingenue or you're not. You're funny.
Oh,
You're an
yeah.
ingenue or you're funny.
You're not both. Yeah.
But like never. And it was so frustrating because it's like, well, I have blonde hair, so I'm an ingenue, but I also like making people laugh. So it was so frustrating to always feel like not fitting into that mold. So I love that. Oh my God, that's brilliant. So going to the next question, you're really big on mindset. You're really big on personal growth. How did you start your personal development journey?
Totally. So, okay. So how do I even put this in words? Okay. So honestly, I think it all started because, so my dad got sick when I was in high school. And so that was like a huge, when I think about my life and I think about it in multiple acts, that was like a huge turning point for me. And it took me some time of dealing with that reality to actually make any type of shift. But when I was about 22, I found myself like away from home, feeling really guilty for that, in a program that wasn't right. I was studying, for me, what was the wrong thing at the time. And it just was all wrong. And I had to make this moment. I like vividly remember myself lying on the floor, listening to Fleetwood Mac in my dorm room, crying.
Oh, no.
And I was like, something's wrong. Something is so wrong. And I had to like make the active decision to either let myself die there or switch, change my mind. And like, that was the first time that I realized I could do that and I could change my mind, and that no matter what that caused, like it was still totally in my control to do that. And that was so empowering for me. And so that led to a whole bunch of personal development, and it led to me analyzing everything about my decision making and everything, which like, yeah, it's been such a journey, but I really believe personal development has changed my entire life by far. Yeah.
Something we talk about, at least that we've talked about on the podcast, is that decisions happen in a moment. Change is the growth that happens after you make a decision.
Yes.
And it's so funny because so many people are like, how do I change my life? How do I do this? Like looking for like the magic pill treatment. And I'm like, you fucking decide.
Yeah, you have to choose.
Like, you have to choose. And it has to be a powerful decision. And like, I like to look at it as you get leverage. You either look at your life 5-10 years from now in the most pleasure driven, like so excited, so fulfilled, or you do the opposite. What is the thing that you're trying to avoid right now? I put avoid in quotation quotes because you haven't made the decision yet.
Yeah.
Lay it out. 5-10 years from now, if you haven't changed, if that thing that you hate about your life right now is still there, what happens? What's around you? Who's not around you? And that normally, that powerful like need to avoid pain is what triggers people to kick it into high gear.
Totally. I love that you lay it out like that too, because sometimes you're like, I really need to build the narrative. Like I think as performers, we love to know the story, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's exactly what I need to hear. Because sometimes it is the decision of like, okay, do I want immediate gratification or the long term? And I'm like, I have to choose the long term sometimes.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. So. And it's so hard to train your brain to always think about, okay, this decision, what does it look like a week from now, 2 weeks from now, 2 years from now? Like, it's so hard to change your brain.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you really start reaching for growth, like, I know you and your girlfriend are super big on morning routines.
Yeah.
So like stuff like that, a lot of people don't want to get up at 6, 5, whatever in the morning. But if you look at it at 6, 5, 10 at night and you're like, oh, wow, look at all the stuff I accomplished that day because my mindset was in order, because my body felt strong. Like, here's where I am. Then you get out of bed. You get the leverage that way.
And what's so interesting, Nicole, is that we have been on a journey for a morning routine. Like it is not natural for us.
Tuck that out, because we just did a morning routine episode last week. So I want to know.
Yeah. It was not easy for us to do this. And like, we still like, this is so funny, but this will really explain it. It was like the other day, one of us did a morning routine, and when I say one of us, I mean not me. she did the morning routine, and I was like so grouchy about it. Like, we are just trying so hard to like figure it all out, but it's like when we're trapped in the quarantine together and like we're seeing each other. So it's just like so funny because it's not easy for us to wake up. We want to like cuddle. We want to stay in bed. We don't want to wake up before the sun. Our cat comes and cuddles with us. Like, it's a whole freaking situation. So getting out of our bed is an event. But we're working on it. And like we know what our setbacks are. So we're working on it.
Amazing. Oh my, if you don't mind me asking, what are like the things that make you guys get out of bed on those days?
Yeah, it's totally different for both of us. And I am honestly not totally sure what it is for her yet. But for me, I honestly think about it in the way that I think about auditioning really early. So like it's something I get to do and I'm excited to do and I am looking forward to doing. And I just really drill that into my brain. And then when I wake up, I have to get up right away. Like I can't let myself sit there for even a moment. I have to just like throw the blanket and like leave the bed because otherwise I'll stay all day.
Do you know about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule?
No.
It's a Mel Robbins technique, but it's fucking brilliant. She talks about it specifically with getting up.
Okay.
And it's that when your alarm goes off, you have 5 seconds to make a decision for growth or a decision to stay in your old habits. And after those 5 seconds, your brain will go back to the habit. Like it's something about the basal ganglia, how your habit brain lives there. But
oh my gosh,
neuroscience behind it. But when you're in bed, you literally have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 before you get up. And so she said one morning, because she was like, for a really long time, she was super depressed, had a lot of anxiety, all this kind of stuff. Her story is amazing. But she literally pictured like a rocket about to be launched into space. And she goes, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the next thing she knows, she's opened her eyes and she's standing up in the middle of a room in like, I think it's Boston in February. And it's like, it's so cool. But if you start to think about it that way, where it's like, you have to take that massive action right away.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to like do that. And it's so easier said than done. I want to preface that for listeners because it's so much easier said than done because when you think about it, it's 5 a.m. Like it's getting to be summer, obviously, but like in the middle of winter in Chicago or New York, it's effing cold. So it's like the last thing you want to do.
Cozy, like
your partner's right there. There's so many outside things. But if you think like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, up.
And that is so awesome. I love that. I love that. And I love it because it also totally plays into the idea of like, go before you're ready. You know what I mean? Which is so, I think, huge for like personal development.
Well, okay. I want to skip ahead because there's something beautiful that you talked about on your podcast, which is amazing. If any actors are listening, which I know there's a lot of, go listen to the Aud Squad podcast. It's phenomenal. It's so good. I love it. You talked about this idea of being born from the ashes. Will you speak into that real quick?
Totally. I love this idea. This is honestly like one of my most consistent thoughts is that I think there's something so beautiful about moving through and overcoming personal struggle and the struggles that are placed in your life. I think that is so beautiful because you can only do it actively. Like you can be reborn, but you have to make the decision to like fly away. Like you can become the phoenix, but not realize you've become a phoenix. And so it's really important for you to make the move into your new self. And so being reborn through your struggle, I think is such a beautiful way to be active in who you are. Did that make any sense?
That totally did.
In my brain, I'm like
no, that totally did. I love that idea when it like comes to resilience. Like, and I mean, honestly, what a better time to be talking about this idea. Like when right now, a lot of people are feeling like they're a phoenix on fire and they get to like either be reborn or they get to die in the ashes. And a lot of people are struggling to find that motivation to take flight, like you said. And
totally.
What would you say to those people who are really struggling right now?
Oh my God.
I'm putting you on the spot, girl.
No, I mean, it immediately like pulls at my heart because there's so much I would want to say to the people who are struggling right now. Do you mean right now, like with society and quarantine and pandemic? Do you mean in that space, or do you mean just like in anything going on?
Let's do with anything.
Okay.
Let's make it broad. I like this.
Yeah. Okay. Honestly, I think what I would say to anybody who is like truly struggling right now, okay, one is that I like genuinely care about you. I really do. Even if I don't know you, I love you. I genuinely care about you, and you like to the point where you always have a friend in me. And if you ever contacted me, I would respond. But what's more is that sometimes the things that feel like the worst thing in the world, and sometimes the things that feel so big and so like paralyzing and like that you're drowning in them, sometimes those are the moment that you're heading into the biggest, most wonderful transformation. Like something beautiful is just ahead, but you have to continue to go in order to see that. But like something beautiful is always just ahead. And like, I think that's so important because when I think about the darkest moments of my life, and like, I mean, honestly, I feel like there have been quite a few just because of like having my dad sick for so young. Like, I think when I think about the darkest moments of my life, something really magnificent came shortly after them. And like now when I think about them, I feel this responsibility toward them. Like I love them because they're so much a part of what has made me become who I am. And I love who I am. And you should love who you are because look at all you can do. Look at all you've done. Look where you are, you know?
You're gonna make me cry. Shit, this is so good.
I think that's what I'd say.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Oh my goodness. And I want to confirm for anyone who's listening, Sara is the biggest hype woman and the biggest like virtual hug like you could ever feel. And it's just like this is the first time we're talking face to face, and I feel like I've known you 10 years. Like this is like you have just such a beautiful, warm energy around you, and it's so beautiful. So thank you. That was so vulnerable and so lovely. Wow. I do want to pivot a little bit more because you have built this incredibly successful business.
Thank you.
And how? What? Like, why? Like, what made you feel like this is what I was born to do?
Okay, it's actually, I mean, from my perspective, pretty interesting. So I was working remotely already. So I was working as a manager agent for social media influencers. And what a weird job. Like what?
I was going to say that. I bet you got some stories.
The fact that exists is freaking weird, but I was. And so I was already working in the social media space very, very closely. And I was making good money and I was remote, and like that would seem to most people like that was the ideal job. But I actually, even though I loved the company, I had these two bosses who were very toxic. Like I'm talking no boundaries. I worked 60 plus hours every week. Like they would call me at 3 a.m. And the reason that I ultimately quit, because I did what everyone does and I ignored the signs for a long time and I stayed there. And I was like, it's fine, to the point where like people that knew me thought I was literally brainwashed because they're like, Start, get out of this job. But I was like, it's okay. Like I'm making my own money. I was able to move to New York with it. And like, I really just like wrote it off in my brain. And ultimately what happened is what always happens when you ignore the universe for a really long time, which is that the universe punched me in the face. The universe was like, wake up. and I had this experience with my boss where he called me in the middle of the night and like verbally attacked me. He like said all of these really ridiculous things. He cussed me out. Because I had to miss a meeting that was in the middle of the night, my time. And so like middle of the night, like 1 a.m. Yeah. And so, that was the kind of workplace that he and my other boss were cultivating. So anyway, so that happened. And I took this video of myself where I was just crying. I still have the video. I was crying. And I was like, you can't stay here for money. You can't do it anymore. Money is not worth what you're paying. And like, you have to get out of this job because it's going to kill you. This is horrible. You are too young to feel like this.
Oh, that's good.
So I literally quit like right after that with no other income. I had no job. And I just started my business because I decided that I could and that I should and that I wanted to and that I had valuable skills that would translate. I knew that I had intellectual property and that I had something of value and that my community would support me and lift me up until it took. And it took. And I honestly think that was like one of the most important transitions I've ever made. Because, it's really interesting. I think you'll like this, Nicole.
I'm excited.
Is that they actually reached out to me recently and asked me to come back.
Shut up. No
Yes.
way.
Yeah, they did. It's different people now. But, and I like the people it is now. The people who are there now, I actually really like. And so like, it seems like the problem is solved in a way, but I had to make the decision again. I had to like re-decide, okay, do I want to bet on myself and on my business, or do I want to go back to what I know I will make good money in doing? Mm-hmm. And like, I had to choose again. Mm-hmm. And yeah. And so I just think it's like about betting on yourself, honestly. I really think you have to, you'll never know. And you always wish you did.
When was this? Like, when was this that you started your business and left your other job?
December of 2019.
What?
That was 6 months ago. Yeah. It was so recently.
I had it in my head. It was like 2+ years ago.
No, it was 6 months ago.
Built. Oh my God.
Thanks. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. But like,
yeah.
So getting into the mindset of this, like, what was something, because starting your business from scratch, like as someone who's done the same thing, it is hard.
Yeah.
So what was your mindset? What was your belief that got you from here to here in such a beautiful amount of time?
Yeah, I honestly think there's like two parts to it. One, I think artists just like innately have this discipline, right? Like I think that we just have this discipline.
Oh God, it hurts.
Yeah, right? I'm like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Where it's like I almost was like, I am doing this. Like I didn't talk about it like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm considering doing this. I was like, no, I do this. Like I immediately took on the role. Mm-hmm. And I think I just went for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I just bet on it and I just went all the way. And like, so that doesn't work for everybody, of course. Like some people are like, I need to ease into it, but like, I really am not an easer. I kind of jump all the way in really fast, which is like totally the Gemini in me. But like,
I was going to say, are you an Enneagram 3 out of curiosity?
I am.
I knew it.
Yes. Call me out. Yeah. And so I think I just had the discipline because of being an artist. And like, I also am resourceful and curious. And so I got a coach right away. And I also am like super adamant that like coaches are super vital to success.
Needed.
Yes.
Shout out to my coach who I hired yesterday.
Yeah. Yes. So you see, I love it too, because it's like, even coaches have coaches and coaches. Mm-hmm. It's like, because everybody is trying to just like learn. And like, that's something I try and explain to my clients too, is that like, when you're taking on a new title, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to be an expert. People aren't usually hiring you for the information. They're hiring you for you.
Exactly.
They can get like, there's 50 Starbucks, but you go to the same few. Mm-hmm. And it's because you're not trying to find something new. You're trying to, it's the vibe, it's the energy. And it's the same thing with people.
So how do you help your clients find that? How do you help them really tap into their own magic to bring into the world?
Totally. It's like kind of funny because I always say that like my business is like branding and business, but like we do a shit ton of introspective work because you can't not do it. You have to know the personal development side, because if you don't know what you have to offer, and if you don't know what makes you special, you can't do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we do a lot of introspection. I always say that they become my best friends very quickly because I'm like, I know a lot of your secrets.
That's how I feel about my clients. Like within the first week, I'm like, I love you. Like you're so great.
I'm like, you're my best friend.
Truly.
Yeah.
So what are some major personal development tools that you use? Any resources, books, whatever?
Yeah. Oh my God, for sure. So I have to say my favorite number one resource that I recommend to everybody all the time is The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. It's a book, and honestly, it reads a lot like a manifesto. So it's very empowering and it's like very thought-provoking. But it's my all-time favorite resource. And a mentor of mine referred it to me when I was in college, and I just have never put it down. And essentially the ideas in it are that like resistance is an active force in the world, and that like it will try to keep you from getting to your destiny, essentially. And so when you pay attention to the things you resist, or the things that you're like, absolutely not, hell no, I'm deeply afraid of that thing, usually that's where you have to go. And it's very interesting. Yeah. So that's my number one resource. I read it all the time. I really live my life by it. The War of Art.
I love that.
But then like all things Brene Brown, all things Jen Sincero,
Yes.
right? Like the queens, like
Queen.
Marie Forleo. Yeah.
Everything is Figure Outable is my Bible.
I know. And her podcast is just like
So
stellar. Some other authors I really like. I love Rebecca Solnit. She wrote the book Men Explain Things to Me. And so I feel like she really helps me to think about society a lot. Like it's like taking the inward investigation and putting it into the outward society. So I love her. I also really love the Good Life Project. It's a podcast.
I'm going to write this down.
Yeah. And Stuff Mom Never Told You, another podcast. I think a lot of my stuff stems from like places of joy. Like I love things like the Good Life Project because I love to think about things in a positive light. But like that being said, I am also a huge believer of the fact that like you need the shadow side of that. Like you can't have only light, and you wouldn't want it because it wouldn't be light anymore. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, I speak in metaphors, honestly.
I love it. Keep going. I love it.
But like, okay, something that I really try to explain to my clients a lot is that like, everybody wants to be at the top of the roller coaster, right? Everybody wants to be up there because that's the freaking boss ass best life spot, and everybody wants it. And the middle is just kind of like you're coasting, and the bottom sucks. Nobody wants to be in the lows of the roller coaster because it's a bummer. Mm-hmm. But you literally cannot just go from middle to top. That's not how momentum works. You have to go into the lows if you're ever going to get to the top. And that's what's super important to remember. And so even though I'm like very much based in positivity and very much based in joy, I only think those exist because of pain and because of struggle. So yeah. So all my resources have that lens on them, honestly.
But I agree on a very, very, because a lot of people, when they start getting into the personal development space, they're like, why am I not happy guru pants all the time? And it's like, no, getting through a personal development journey means dealing with some dark demons.
Yeah.
And your limiting belief is a lot louder than beliefs are a lot louder than a lot of us give them credit for.
Totally. Yeah.
Unpack them and to really start listening to them so you become aware of them so that you can change them, because awareness is the first step to change every time.
Yeah.
That is when you start getting into a dark place. But once you get into the dark place, you become aware of those things. That's when you're able to build out of it. And it's like, I so agree. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I mean, because most of the time you don't even realize that these beliefs you have, like it's not even your voice telling them to you. It's not you speaking. So where is it coming from? You know what I mean?
Like Shannon in my brain. Like, God. Yeah. No offense to the Shannons out there. I love you.
Yeah. So, amazing.
The question for you is, you have a business, you're a full-time actor, you live in New York City, which is a hustle and bustle place. How do you believe in balance, I guess is a good question.
Yeah. I mean, I believe in it in theory.
I hear you.
Yeah, exactly. I literally just had a session with my artistic coach the other day, and I was like, I think I'm imbalanced. So like, yeah, I believe in it, and I strive to achieve it, but I don't always get there. But I will say something that helps me, and something that I think is the key for me personally, because everybody's got their own key. But I think that what is the key for me is like radical listening, which is a term I heard recently in the No Marking Facebook group. If anybody is in that, if you're not, you should join it.
I was going to say, I don't know about this, but
Nicole, you have to join it. It's really good. It's really good.
Okay.
But anyway, they have tons of different creatives and artists come on and do these different live streams and webinars for this group. And somebody came on and was talking about, it was about marrying the arts with social justice, but she was talking about radical listening, and that concept just so resonated with me. And I think that was the first time I've ever really heard that. And I think that's what I need, and that's what I try to do in order to balance things. So like,
will you talk about it real quick, just for people who are like, I'm curious as to what that means.
Yeah. So essentially it's like the idea that like you're listening to somebody without the thought of I'm speaking next. So it's listening to somebody 100% without your own motives behind it. And it's, she was mentioning that like, that's the way that things change. And that's the way that like impact is had, is when you have listened fully to somebody. And I think that that is something, because I think about that in association with presence and mindfulness. And I do really work to like have, when I'm with my partner, I'm with my partner. And when I'm working on my business, I'm working on my business. And when I'm out doing something artistic in the city, I am doing that thing. And I try to be so mindful about that. And I think that that also is in partnership with the radical listening piece of like, I am just trying to be there and hear what's happening. So that's how I try to balance.
That's powerful.
Given I'm not always good at it. I'm working on it.
Well, especially in our society, no shots to technology a little bit, but like we have conditioned our brains to constantly be like, go, go, go. What's next?
Yeah, what's next?
Exactly.
Contribute.
create content.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's stressful. If anything, it's just, it's constant working our brain. And a lot of people, especially when it comes to like getting present, a lot of people have issues. I won't say issues. A lot of people have challenges getting that ball rolling and really practicing it. I'll use meditation as a great example.
Yeah.
I have tried meditation. Tried is past tense. Like I have,
we're done trying.
I literally, it's like, I adore it. And it's something definitely on my list that it's like, okay, that's something I need to like make a priority. But having your brain turn off, a lot of people are not very good about that recently. And I'll say, especially in the artist community, especially in the performers, because we're constantly working at the next thing, constantly thinking about the next thing. And especially radical listening for actors to listen on stage and to be present on stage without thinking, what's my next line?
Totally.
Like,
That's beautiful.
Go for it.
No, I was going to say that, that's like totally it. She was saying that like an extension of exactly what you're saying is she was like, think about the world as your scene partner. Like listen to the world as intently as you listen on stage. And like,
that's good.
It's just such a beautiful concept. And like I said, I speak in metaphor. So metaphor really hits it for me. Like that's how I learn too. And I just totally agree. I just couldn't agree more.
Oh my God. Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Listeners, radical listening, start practicing it.
Yeah.
Everybody get it. I know. I was like, I'm going to commit to you. Like, this is something that I think I would love to start practicing as well. So thank you for bringing that up in this beautiful conversation. That's so good. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm trying to even think. I'm like, what are my even questions? That was just such a mic drop. That
I know. That's how I felt too. When I heard it, I was like,
oh my God. Like,
just so good.
I did have a question that I wanted to make sure we hit. And that was, so much is happening on social media. And especially right now with quarantine. And it's like, I need to be doing this. I should be doing this. Like what we were saying, I need to be creating content.
Yeah. Build.
As someone, because you show up so freaking powerfully and it's never from a place of like, I'm better than you. It's always from a place of we're equals. I have something to share with you. And it's so beautiful. What do you say to the people who are looking at social media and are getting stressed by it?
Yeah.
And how would you help them change that?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want that. That's what I want to be. And so I actively try to pursue that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. There are a couple things I would say. One is you need to be able to like pinpoint what's triggering that. Like what is doing that for you? Is it certain accounts? Is it certain subject matter? Is it, certain apps that make you feel that way? Like what puts you in that place? And if you have to turn off your notifications, I encourage you to do that. If you have to empty your inbox, I encourage you to do that. Unsubscribe, do it. Like I fully want you to approach social media as like thoroughly as you would with anything else. And the second part of that is that this might sound cheesy, but I full well believe this, that when you're not there, when you're not saying what you need to say online, because first off, everyone has stories. Everybody has unique stories that are only theirs to tell. So when you're not there, it's not like somebody else is standing in your place telling the stories for you. Like there's no one to compare to because no one's doing that. So if you're not there, the stories don't get told. It's your responsibility and it's your power and it's your joy and it's your opportunity to stand in your power and to be who you are out loud. Because without you, it's just an empty space on the stage. It's just something missing. No one is there doing it for you. No one to compare to. No one's there. It's an empty space.
I have chills. Oh, that's so good. Keep going. That's fantastic. I feel like I'm at a sermon. Like, this is perfect.
It's my dream to give a TED Talk, so we'll see.
Yes.
No, but like it's so easy to like compare. Comparison is such a default mode for like creatives especially. And like, there's no one there to replace you. There's no understudy for your life. Like, there's you and there's nobody else who is you. It's a thumbprint. It's your digital thumbprint. And so if you don't want to show up, that's okay. I encourage you to, because I think that it's important that you do. I think that you can't avoid the internet in the age we live in. Yeah. But if you don't want to, that's fine. But like, your stories won't get told. And that's sad. That's unfortunate, because I guarantee that within 5 minutes of listening to you say something, it's just about like prompting with the right question, because everybody has something that like after they say it, I'm like, do you understand how freaking special that is? That's so cool. You beautiful idiot. Say that out loud. Like, so I think that that's just like the way to approach it, and like be gentle with yourself, because definitely there's like a Friday when I'm like, oh God, I don't have a single thing to post today, and I don't have anything written for my caption, and I'm freaked out, and I'm like, oh my God, I have 20 minutes to write it. But like, at the end of the day, I really try not to post on days like that. Like, if that's how I'm feeling, I really try not to do that, because it's a responsibility to also be there for other people with it. Like, it's an energy exchange. Like, you think that it's not because we're removed by by screens, but like, there's an energy being exchanged, and like, what I give, you get, and vice versa. And like, it's not fair to other people that I'm like, I'm going to force my intense energy on somebody today. Like, I don't think that's fair either. So I think it's about listening to yourself and like pausing and being like, I'm not ready to post.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I needed to hear that. Thank you. That was beautiful. And I think that like, just like there's like intuitive, I mean, there's so many intuitive things, intuitive daily meditation, intuitive eating, stuff like that. Like, I think this sounds silly in words, but I do mean it in all seriousness. There's intuitive social media-ing.
Yes.
Like,
yes, there is.
Because there have been so many days where it's like, I feel like I'm behind. Oh, I scroll and I'm like, oh my gosh, that person's creating content. That coach is doing a program. I'm not launching anything. Oh my God, like, I'm behind. Yeah. And especially for creatives, I had a beautiful conversation with someone the other day where she was saying, I feel like I'm an imposter on social media. And I feel like I see other people creating things and I'm behind. And I feel like I have nothing to bring to the table. And like, when I do, it's all from like a place of lack and scarcity. And it's like, oh, well, first of all, hella introspective. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You're like ready to write a book.
Yeah.
But it's like that kind of energy. When you create something, you're always going to feel like, I have to get this out as fast as possible. I'm already behind. And it's going to come from a place of rushed eagerness, lack. Totally. Whereas if you create something because it aligns with you, there's not a time limit. Yeah. And you just like, you create it, and it just, whenever it happens, is the right time.
Yeah. I mean, and when you think about like all the times you have felt that in your life, like anytime I think about the moments, because there's tons of them when you're like, I feel late. I feel like I'm late. I feel like I'm late. Mm-hmm. And whenever I think about that in retrospect, I wish I could just tell myself I was never late. Like, it was never true. It was always a narrative I was writing. And like, I think if we like the earlier we understand that, then like the earlier we can actually be where we are and like appreciate this part of the journey, you know? So like, I agree. I think you're totally right.
I think you're totally right. This is great. Oh my God.
And I actually one more thing. Actually,
oh my God.
It's about the same thing, but it's about the fact that like, that's why I think, especially for artists, it's so important to like identify or do that introspective work and like identify what it is that is special and unique about them, because you'll never go into a job, you'll never go into an acting opportunity without all of the things you are. You'll always be exactly who you are. And so like, if you go in doubting the incredible things you already are, you're not fully able to act. You're not fully able to be present and create. And like, if you just walked in empowered, knowing that already and knowing that you were right on time and right who you're supposed to be, like, it would be a better process. So it's like, it's affecting everything. It's very important work.
When is your first book coming out? I need it to be tomorrow.
It's now. No.
That was phenomenally said. Like, oh my gosh. So I have a question for you then.
Yeah.
If someone is feeling really disconnected to what makes them special, what is one question you would have them journal on, ask themselves, whatever that looks like, to start the ball rolling on like how special they are? And it can be several questions. One question.
It can be 3 questions.
Of course, it can be 3 questions.
Okay, great. Okay, one question I would ask is, okay, these are actually literally 3 questions that I ask my clients all the time.
Amazing.
So yeah, there are 3 questions. One is your PowerPoint. So what is something that you feel just truly confident in? Something about yourself that you don't doubt, you know is powerful. You feel like a true bad bitch when you think about it, like your PowerPoint. Question 2 is, hashtag real talk. What is something that you feel really vulnerable about and maybe you don't share as frequently, but it's a big part of your identity? So something that is a little bit more private, but like is very present. And my 3rd and final question for you would probably be, what is the most, and I'm going to go in with the most, one specific incident, but what is the most major event in your life that has led you to where you are? Like, what is the thing that led you to where you are?
Ooh, what a powerful question.
I know, because I've thought about this a lot, and you can pretty much always get to one thing. Even if like you start with a few things and you're like, no, they're all very important. But if you even go through those, you can go like one layer further and they'll lead to one. And so it's important to think about that, not because it defines you or because it's like, because it's who you are, but because you need to know your journey, and your journey is usually what the most unique thing is. So that's what I'd say. I have one more question, actually.
No, please. I could listen to you talk for hours. Please.
I have a 4th, and it's actually, I can't take credit for it because it's something that I got from a creative class with Alexandra Silver. She's a genius. And she asked this question, and I actually thought it was one of the most thought-provoking things I've ever heard, but that it's essentially complete this sentence, right? Mm-hmm. If it didn't sound totally batshit crazy, I would tell everyone blank.
Oh.
I know. I immediately was like, oh my God.
I don't even like,
yeah.
I'm speechless. I don't even know. Like that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Think about it. Do some journaling.
I'm going to take all these and journal on my own and be like, what did Sarah say? Oh my God, this is phenomenal. Actually, there's one question that I heard, so I'm going to piggyback off of. There's one question I heard just recently, and that was, what is one solution you were put on this earth to find? And
oh my God,
I heard that, and it was phrased differently, but I can't remember the exact phrasing. That's like that's the thing. But I heard that, and I was like, ooh.
I have the chills.
Right?
I'm like, because it's immediately like purpose driven, right? Like immediately you're thinking about purpose.
Like, why am I put on this earth? What is the thing that I was put on this earth to figure out? And it's not necessarily to achieve or to conquer or anything like that. It's what's a solution that I can provide by simply being myself.
Yeah.
And like,
I'm so excited to journal about it. I'm like so excited.
Retweet, same here. Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, I have one last question because I know we're finishing up on time, but this one I definitely wanted to hit on. You have a beautiful relationship. And I want to know, because a lot of people, when they get into a relationship, when they start living together and all that stuff, it kind of like the magic kind of dies.
Yeah.
Now, of course, this is my first time ever speaking to you, but from being on social media and seeing the chemistry and the energy you two have, it seems like it is far from anything like that. So it's alive. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
So what is something you guys do to create that daily?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. Can I preface it with something?
Absolutely.
Okay, so my parents were the ultimate soulmates. Like, my parents literally, like, just like, you know, they were made from the same stars. Like, they were soulmates.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've watched that my whole life. I have so many pictures of them holding hands that I like, they don't even know I took, that I just like, it's so special to me. And so I have always wanted a love that powerful. It was so important to me. And like, I've had loves, but like, it wasn't like that. And so my current relationship is the first time I've felt like I'm anywhere near it. And like, I feel a lot like that. And so I think approaching it every day with that mindset and that frame of reference has given me just this like deep appreciation and like deep love for it. And like, we just really try. You know what I mean? We just really try. And like, we try to do the extra thing for each other. We try to go the extra mile. We try to surprise each other. And like, I honestly think what it comes down to is we freaking try. And
oh God, my eyes, I'm crying. This is beautiful.
And like, and it's not to say we're perfect. Like, I'm not even kidding when I say that she did a morning routine without me, and we like, we're so mad. but we're working on that. And like, it's like, I think, God, I don't even know where I heard this once, although I have a feeling it might be because Beyonce said it, but, but I know, right? But it's because we also just like, we don't really put breaking up on the table. Like and not like because we're not in a toxic place at all. So I don't think that is like a full blanket statement. Like, some people, breaking up should be on the freaking table. But, but like, for us, we've known from the beginning that we wanted to be together. Like, she was there when my dad died. Like, she's so much of my heart that I feel like it's not on the table. And so like, we never approach fighting thinking that it's going to end in a breakup. We never approach any kind of conflict being like, yeah, but we might break up, or like any lack of passion. We don't think, yeah, it's fizzling out.
Yep.
It's just a part of like where we're at, but like, we're never en route to a breakup.
I love that. Like,
yeah,
they say that when you have 100% certainty in something, that will come true.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree more. When you have 100% certainty in the fact that your partner is your lifetime partner.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I've never heard it phrased out loud that way, that like, breaking up is not even on the table, but I just like, I feel like you just added me. That was so beautiful. Oh my God. Like,
yeah, I think it's kind of like in line with what we were saying with like, when you make the decision is made. Like, it's like you put it out into the universe, and and so it is. And so it is, you know what I mean? And like, in the same way that I grew up saying I'm going to be an actor, in the same way that I said from the beginning, I'm a business owner. Like, you just say it. It is a sense of fake it till you make it, but like, it's also just like declaring it.
Yeah.
Like, freaking shoot your shot.
Shoot your shot. I love
like, shoot your damn shot.
I had my sister of all people on the podcast a few weeks ago, because she's just started a running journey, and like, her and I grew up not running, like, ever. Like, we had always.
Oh my God, then half marathon. Then, my gosh.
Well, that's the thing is about back in October, I was listening to a podcast, and I had been hearing for forever, like, running. And for some people, when you hear running, you're like, okay, that's not for me. That's not really something I want to do.
Yeah.
But for her and we both heard it, and we're like, that's something I want to do, but I know it's going to be hard, so I'm not going to.
Totally.
And so back in October, I decided to change I'm not a runner to I'm a runner. And doing that, and to be fair, my I'm a runner mindset sometimes meant I am walking for 8 minutes, I'm running for 2. Then I'm walking for 8 minutes, I'm running for 2 until I hit a mile, and then I'm celebrating like the cows.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
When I finally started doing that, and then I started getting up to like 10, 12 miles, it was just like, oh yeah, this was always a part of me. And it felt so like the prophecy was coming true, sort of a deal. And it's the same thing with literally everything you want in life. Yeah. Like, I heard a great speaker the other day saying, when you decide to quit smoking, you don't say, oh, I don't do that anymore. You say, I'm not a smoker.
Ah, oh my God, that's so interesting.
I was like, oh, that's good. And so when you do that and it's like, oh, okay. So when I'm trying to like, it's so funny you said I started my business and I just took on that personality. The second I changed my narrative of, oh, I have a life coaching business too, I am a life coach.
Yeah.
I immediately, like, everything fell into place. Everything started happening.
Yes.
And my first clients happened and I took off. Like, and it's like that. It's such a, but your language creates your experience, and it's
absolutely
so powerful.
I seriously love that. I love that so much. Like, I think that's why, especially in something like a new business venture, like the title is vital. Title is vital. That's my phrase.
Get
title is vital. Yeah. But you know, like I just like couldn't agree more. I think that's like so interesting because it goes from being something that's separate from yourself to your identity. Yeah. And like, take it on. I love that.
I want to highlight that because it was so good. Can you say that again? Because that was so good.
It goes from being something that is separate from yourself to being your identity. And like,
you write a book. I want to read it.
Oh my God, yes. Like a million times.
So excited. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Sarah, I adore you. I know I've said this several times, but I feel like I've known you 10 years and it's just, you have such a beautiful, beautiful presence and energy to you. I want everyone to feel this as well. So where can people find you? All the things.
Yes, please. First off, I love connecting with people. Like, I legit love it. I respond to every freaking DM. So message me. Like, yeah, like I love it. Yeah. So please reach out. But I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on my website. But I'm the most active with engagement communication on Instagram. So I would say if you're going to pick one, find me on Instagram. My handle everywhere is Sara Falaro, just my name, no H, Sara Falaro. Bitch. Yeah, no H. Yeah. But so like come and find me and I swear to God, we'll have a nice chat.
And I'll put the link in the show notes so people can just click nice and easily.
Yes.
My dear, thank you. Thank you for being on here and sharing your wisdom. I couldn't appreciate you more.
Seriously, thank you so much for having me. I'm like such a fan of yours and your podcast and everything. And I love being here and I love what you're doing and your mission. So just thank you for including me in that.
I don't know about you guys, but after listening to this episode, my heart immediately feels lighter and I feel like a badass. So thank you, Sarah. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your energy, your wisdom. And as always, you guys, I want to talk through some major takeaways so that we can really ingrain what she talked about during this episode. So number 1, your type is what other people tell you you are. However, your brand is what you get to decide on. Number 2, making a powerful decision creates some powerful change. Number 3, change the language of have to get to, especially when it comes to getting up in the morning. Also remember, you have 5 seconds to make a decision. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, before your habit brain takes over. Number 4, your struggle is placed in your life for you to actively choose to be reborn from the ashes. Actively choose, very important. 5, sometimes the things that feel the most terrifying, there is something beautiful just steps ahead. I'm going to say this one again because I think this is really important right now. Sometimes the things that feel the most terrifying, there's something beautiful just steps ahead. Number 6, if you are wanting to do something huge, take the label on right away and believe the crap out of it. Number 7, see how you can implement radical listening. Number 8, everyone has a story to share. If you're not there to share it, it's just an empty space. Number 9, here are the brilliant questions that she asked. What is something you feel truly confident in? What is something you feel really vulnerable about that is very present in your life? What is the most major event in your life that has led to where you are in this moment? Sarah, thank you for your wisdom. I cannot thank you enough. This was such an amazing conversation. Now, as promised at the beginning of this episode, empaths, listen up because we're going to have a conversation. First of all, let's talk about what the heck an empath even is. And if you don't know that you're one, but if this sounds a little bit like you, this is a very good conversation for us to have. So an empath is someone who takes on the energy, the feelings, the state of another human. However, it can be one human, or it can be an entire city, or it can be an entire world. That sounds very dramatic, and to be honest, I don't really know how else to explain it without sounding a little effing dramatic. So let's say you're an empath, you're sitting down with a friend, and the friend is pissed. I mean, like screaming to the nines, they're so angry. You will leave that conversation feeling angry, pissed to the nines, because you absorbed all of that energy. Another example is someone who maybe lives in New York City. Maybe they constantly are feeling that hustle, that bustle, that heartbeat, that movement of the city. Another example, what's going on in the world right now? I don't know about you, but the past few days I've felt a lot. And the reason I want to have this specific conversation is because if you are an empath who is feeling a lot right now to the point where it literally is debilitating, I want to talk about how to make it not debilitating. Because we need your head held high. We need your head up, and we need that high intensity action. And again, high intensity action, like I said at the beginning of this episode, might mean 10 minutes a freaking day to do 2 things, to do 1 thing, whatever it looks like, but action nonetheless. But if you are feeling that debilitating anxiety and the weight of the world, it is really hard to do that. So I want to speak directly to you empaths. And if you are not an empath, please do not turn this off, because I guarantee you have at least 1, maybe 50 empaths in your life that also need to hear this. So share it with them so that they can too. They can also really just lessen that weight, lessen the weight that feels like they're on their shoulders so that they're able to put their head up and take action. Now here, let me preface this real quick, because like I said at the beginning of this episode, I am not perfect, but I am done being quiet. But I am not perfect. However, I'm not saying don't feel angry. I'm not saying don't feel that weight. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is know it's there. You can feel fucking angry. I am pissed. I am pissed off. And I know that with these tricks and with these tools and with this exercise, I am able to not let that pissed offness and that weight debilitate me and stop me. I am able to put momentum. I'm able to put some momentum into it. So that's what I'm speaking into here. So without further ado, let's dive into this exercise. When you are in that state of fear, anxiety, depression, and right now, let's go ahead and just pretend. I want you to close your eyes and see it. It's probably pretty easy. See how that feels with your eyes closed. What are you looking at? What's around you? What are you listening to? Again, in that state of fear, because you're probably listening to something that's not actually happening around you in the present moment. Fear is always future-based. So where is your future that your fear is deciding on? Good. Okay. Take a breath in. And listen to my voice. It's louder than the fear that's happening around you. Let's make a decision to change. Let's go. So, I want you to step out of this vision and go just about 2 steps behind you, right where you are, and just look over your shoulder as if you're just someone standing behind you, casually, just looking over your shoulder. Good. Go ahead and make everything a still picture. Have everything freeze. Good. And once you've done that, go ahead and make that picture black and white. Take all the color and the vibrance out of it. Good. Now that loud noise that was happening earlier, turn the volume down till it's at 0. And listen to what's actually happening around you. Remember, you're standing behind this person. Go ahead and just listen to the actual reality of what's happening in the present moment. Now go ahead and just make that picture really small, the size of a pea. Go ahead and move it to the bottom left-hand corner of your mind's eye. And with a deep breath in, with it still in the bottom left-hand corner, I want you to breathe out, and as you breathe out, that picture goes away. And go ahead and open your eyes. And notice where you are. Awesome, guys. So whenever you are in a state of fear or anxiety or where it feels just overwhelming, here's what I need you to do. Come out of it. Get a third-person view. When we're in fear, when we're in really debilitating fear, it's always being held first person. We're always experiencing it first person. So go ahead and step out of it. That's why I had you go behind your shoulder. So step out of it, go to third person. Next, it's always a video when it's fear. Make it a picture. Stop the movement. Stop the movement of the picture or of the video happening in front of you. Then make it black and white. It helps lessen the power that it has over our brain. So make it black and white. Then last but not least, turn the volume down and listen to what's actually happening right where you are in that present moment. Again, fear is always future-based. Future ain't the present moment. So listen around in your present moment. Get yourself grounded. And then I had you make it smaller and then put it off into the corner and make it go away. Now again, this is a technique so that you can put your head up and feel like you can actually put thought into action. Because like I said, we need more than enough action right now. And if you spent 5 or so minutes on Instagram, or if you spend 2 minutes on a Google search, you have an abundant amount of ways that you can take action. Whether it's reading a book, whether it's watching a video, whether it's donating if you are able to, etc., etc. So there's 2 more things that I also want to talk into this. And that is, get grateful. Get so incredibly immersed into gratitude. If you are feeling anxiety, if you are feeling scared, if you're feeling overwhelmed, get into gratitude. It's the quickest fix. Close your eyes, breathe for 2 minutes, and put a hand on your heart and ask yourself, what are you grateful for? And then last but not least, this is one that I notice within myself, and I know that other people do notice. And if you're not one of those people, great, ignore this. However, I know that when I put certain things into my body, my anxiety spikes. And I know what those things are because I've done enough trial and error. And if you are someone who has done that same trial and error, or who knows what is not good for their anxiety or their fear, you replace anxiety with depression, scarcity, whatever it is for you right now in this moment. I'm using anxiety because that is highly what I am feeling from the past 2 days. I knew that when I put processed foods or sugar into my body, I felt a huge spike of anxiety. So I know what I can control. I don't have to put those things into my body. If I know that it is going to get my mind clearer, my anxiety lower, and my action higher, I'm going to control what I can control. This sounds so weird. I'm not going to lie. This sounds like a very weird thing to be talking about now. However, I'm getting into the nitty gritty because I think the nitty gritty is important, especially when it comes to mindset. I'm coming at all of this from a point of how can you get your mindset in order? How can you get your mindset feeling powerful so that you can stand up and link arms and be together during this fight? If you are someone who knows what is good to put in your body, that makes you feel clearer, that makes you feel less scared, that makes your anxiety go down, just go ahead and do it. So I hope that is helpful. And if you guys need to reach out to someone, if you need to talk to anyone right now, please, my DMs are open. Please, at Life Coach Baker, please feel free to reach out to me. But you guys, I adore you all. Please go follow Sara also, because talk about just a warm energy. So I can talk about her energy for 15 years. She's just such a light. So please go follow Sara on Instagram. She posts some really great stuff, especially if you're an actor. I cannot preface this enough. If you are an actor, go follow Sara, period. Just do it. And I adore you all. Stay safe, stay warm, stay grounded, stay grateful, stay powerful. I love you guys. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Now, please take a moment to either rate the podcast 5 stars, write a little love note in the comments, or share it on social and tag me at Life Coach Baker. I mean, heck, you're an achiever. Why not do all 3? It helps so much to get the word out there. Now go, take the leap, and achieve your dreams. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.